Everybody, and welcome to episode 78 of the Run to the Hills podcast, sponsored by Chia Charge. Chia Charge have been fueling adventures with real food made with real ingredients since 2012. Go and check them out at www.chiacharge.co.uk. And I have already eaten 3 bars this morning, Gary, before we recorded. I think that's
3?
the best world record, because you just questioned why I was eating a neat natural bar before we recorded and I was off brand, and I said I had just eaten 3 and I didn't think I had another one in me.
You're like you buff though, got the memo.
Oh, I've got my winter warm outfit on because post long run I get the chills, but you know I like to stay on brand, so I've got my Chia Charge buff. Never be more than a handful away from 1,500 calories or a buff. Those are my winter tips for you.
I have them all littered around since the bike is getting a lot more use these days. Yeah, Chia Charge bars all in here. I got a complaint actually. The Lisa was saying there's an odour coming from the front room. I think it's this rank towel.
Yeah, it does get, and then I think when you start sweating again, it like reignites the smell. So yeah, you
second
need to have
sweat isn't great, is it? It's not good.
Second sweat. Do you know I sweated so much on my turbo on Monday that I had to wash the shorts. They didn't even get a double dosage. They got straight in the wash. They were so disgusting. Anyway, the most important thing is obviously I want to know all about the wedding. You never sent a picture.
No, I'm not very good. I got told off. Well, not really told off, but Lisa sent me with instructions to take pictures of the bridesmaids, because when I went to my sister's house before she was drove to the church, Esme was there, all dolled up in her bridesmaids' dresses, and I didn't take one photograph. It's all rubbish.
Someone must have taken a picture.
Yeah, there was a photographer. That's kind of why I didn't do. But it's quite funny. We forgot something, so Lisa dashed round, and Esme answered the door. And Lisa was like, "Oh, where's Esme?" And like literally, it was Esme, all made up in makeup and dress, and she didn't recognize her. She looked like
that moment.
Yeah, she looked like a grown-up woman. It was quite a moment, but it was a lovely day. And I was really stressed about doing a speech, and I was so consumed with that. And then once I knew I didn't have to do a speech, it really kind of dawned on me, and especially being around there in the morning, what a treat that the person who gives the bride away, it's quite busy. The people doing makeup and hair, photographer, the 3 bridesmaids, my sister and other people were popping in and out, the florist, and slowly but surely everybody went, apart from me and Dawn. And to be that person that spends those moments with somebody, it's that was a real privilege. I was so pleased I could walk my sister down the aisle, because my dad can't, he's old and frail, and just that she's got somebody there that can do it was
you wouldn't want anyone else but you, Gary. Firm hand,
yeah,
dry arms, swift walk.
Yeah, fair hands. But yeah, lovely day. Can you guess what the song was that got Gary onto the dance floor?
S Club 7, Don't Stop Moving.
No, it's a classic.
Bryan Adams, Summer of '69.
Oh, that was played and I was dancing when that was on too.
That's a classic. That's mine. You put that on, I'm all over.
I love it when you see a song come on that, say certain people like, and then they just do that little, they get off the chair, they get up and they start like shuffling. It's awesome. But the song was Don't Stop Me Now. Classic.
Oh, I'm having such a good time. Oh.
You just saw it. What a dance floor filler. It was classic.
Did you take over the dance floor? Were you?
No, I don't. That's not me. It was great, me, Lisa, and the kids were all up there dancing.
Oh, I miss a good dance. I love a good dance.
It was awesome.
Bryn and I once, I think it was at his sister's wedding, and we pre-kids, it's important, and we danced, and I think he must have been in his army uniform, but he wore holes in his trousers because he did so many knee slides. I think we could be hired out. We love a dance floor, and there's no stopping it. I think now we're a bit older, a bit tamer, we'd probably slightly more retired, but there's nothing like. And did you have a little drink?
I toasted obviously the speeches, but no, I didn't drink any alcohol after that. I was super good. I had the relays the next day. And, luckily for me, alcohol, I do like drinking, but it doesn't really...
You don't need it, Gary, to have fun. Sometimes Gary, he's there all the time.
Yeah, I don't... it's not something I really kind of need, which is lucky because food is the complete opposite. And then when I get drunk, I eat more poor food. So, it was fantastic. No hangover, which is great. At least I had hangover, and she had a big run planned, which didn't happen.
We could all see that coming.
But yeah, back to running. Let's have a think. What did I do? I did all my sessions. I did the relays. I'm pretty disappointed with my time. That wasn't great. I'm smashing the strength and conditioning, Eddie. I'm crushing that, which is good. But
you were doing it, and sometimes I've done it before I've even had like my toast in the morning. Gary's already been flexing his...
Because it's half term, I don't have to get up so early this week. I'm a bit more for relaxed mornings. But yeah, I'm doing it all, which is good. I think about 5 times last week. So that was awesome. Knocking the miles back a bit because I've not run it all this week, but I had got a bit of an achy knee. And then listen to Brody, actually, just do what you can tolerate. And walking is something that doesn't give it any pain, and the bike doesn't give it any pain. And running, it's really frustrating because sometimes running doesn't give any pain, but then sometimes running does give it some pain. So it's not like this hurts all of the time when I do X, Y, Z. So anyway, I just thought give it a week off, and that's what I'm doing this week, and hopefully be good to go on this potential Bob Graham round attempt over the weekend. I think that's it for me. What about yourself, Eddie?
Well, I was a bit disappointed with myself last week. I don't know why. I managed. I kept everybody alive. Everybody got where they wanted to be. And I did. And then I look back at like the sessions I did. Because I didn't do my normal volume, I made the mistake of being like, so it was a bit of a down week. But then I look back and the fact that I'd done a tempo run, 5 by 12 minutes.
5 times 12 minutes. Don't be disappointed.
5 by 12 minutes uphill. 10 by, well, I did 11 by 4 minutes. I did my power session on my bike. I did 2 strength and conditioning. I did a long run and then the rest was just like easy running.
Eddie, I don't know anybody who's out there doing 5 times 12 minutes of anything. That is awesome.
Tom Evans often does 5 times 12 minutes. Well, so then I was like, come on, just because, you didn't get like, my normal hours on my skis and stuff. That was all right, Eddie. That's all right, Eddie. Take that. And so I've changed this week, slightly going into a slightly different phase of training. Okay. I had a look at my plan this week, and I had 2 endurance sessions to do. So I've just done one, my first 3-hour run of the year. How do you think that went?
Oh yeah, especially if it was a Wednesday.
Wednesday feels all wrong, doesn't it? Feels all wrong. But the kids are ski racing this weekend, and that means getting up at 6 to leave the house and then not getting back until 12 hours later.
So you wouldn't do 2, because I would like to, if everything was going well, I'd probably like to do a medium long run and a long run. During the week.
An ideal world, that would be, and I also would probably not do. So I think I'm going to have to do 2 long runs to get this endurance, or I might. Coach John suggested a couple of hours on the bike and then an hour run.
Yeah.
If I do that, that means I'm 2 hours here where I can be disturbed. Whereas if I go for the long run, nobody. It's just me and the 2 twats. My dogs, by the way, and my earphones. So I think I might quite enjoy that long run. But I did feel just leg tired. I think as well, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired, but also running on the snow is just none. It's just, I did a tempo fartlek session yesterday, and I was working quite hard, and I was 7 minutes. I look back and the like 7 minute 20 miles, but I was like that. I was moving. I'm like, that felt like 6 minute miles. I was moving, but the snow just makes, not only if you hit soft snow, but then every time your foot goes, you're like gully or you're in a long run. By the end of the long run, I mean, and you go up, it's like up and down, you hit a steep bit, and I was like, I'm going backwards here. But it's time to start building up those long runs. And I always think the first couple are always the hardest. You have to sitting on a bike seat, you have to harden yourself off for these long runs. Yeah. You get better at them. You get better at them mentally as well. You get better at just being out and just zoning out. Yeah. I practiced a bit of nutrition. Oh, can I get on my can I get my soapbox a bit about long run nutrition?
Yeah, go for it.
Gary looks so bored already. He's like, what? When you do your long runs, do you take on nutrition like you would in a race? Do you practice fueling, or do you just do your long run and maybe have a jelly baby? Please, if you're an ultra runner, any sort of runner, and you're going to need to fuel during your race, practice it in your long run. Don't then whine on social media that you couldn't absorb calories, you couldn't. Your gut went.
Is it something you've observed over the weekend?
Just having it. I'm like, you've got to practice that fueling on your long runs, and a long run can eat anything over an hour, really. Also, if you're doing a training program like you and I do, regular running, you're always going to be a little bit depleted. So it's even more important to keep fueling and to keep those calories in, and not to finish those long runs absolutely depleted. But you should finish, I mean, you're going to finish them feeling tired, but calorie wise, you should keep those calories going into the last minute. You're going to recover so much quicker for the next day, for the next 2 days. And if you don't take any fuel, or you just take on a jelly baby, and you need to practice it. Today, I practiced with something raspberry flavored. Oh my God. Oh my God, this is the stuff from Satan. I was so excited because it was 60 grams of carbohydrate. And I was like, I could just get this in. Yeah. And it was like, in like kids' ice creams that you get with like the bubble gum underneath, and then the ice cream. And then
love that. Yeah.
And that fake raspberry thing on the top, it was like that. It was so disgusting. I had to stop and like, try and eat it. I didn't eat it. You've got to like try these things. And then the next 10 minutes, I was like, so we crossed that one off the list, but trial and error. I could have taken that to a race.
Yeah. Anyway. That's good. Do that. Definitely. You don't want to do that on a race. Yeah.
And I'm also getting the fear about how I'm going to fuel myself for the spine over the so many days of like, I've got to have such an array of.
Because you just never know how your stomach's going to cope, so you have to have a few randoms in there, don't you?
I don't want it to be just sweet, but it's going to have to be as well. I'm going to have to suck it up. I'm also worried about, I've got quite sensitive, Gary. My mouth's quite sensitive. I get ulcers really easily if I have too much sweet stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm quite worried, like a couple of days in. I remember when I joined Dan Lawson on his Le Jog record. So he must have been like, he was in Scotland, so he was well on his way, but his mouth was absolutely terrible. The ulcers, so I got a slightly, but I can down gels, 28 gels for 100 miles. It's not a problem, but I'm like, I think my mouth wouldn't take it. So I need to also think savory.
Oh my goodness me, I don't know what you... because sometimes with the savoury, there's quite a lot of fat in there too. So your weight, I'm always kind of conscious of weight per carbs. And that's why you hit the sugar. But over time, that's not going to be great, is it?
Getting the balance right, isn't it?
But it's really good advice, train. I probably, when it's closer to the event, I'm more mindful about the training, nutrition. Generally now, I would probably, when I'm getting towards the end of a run, I'll think, oh no, it's half an hour to go. I won't have that.
Well, I think that's a lot of what a lot of people think, isn't it? But I think that's when it's like, actually that half hour when you are totally depleted is when you should you're telling your body basically, there's still fuel going in. Mm. You're
exactly.
Being fueled, keep working. We're still moving. You need to, as soon as you stop that fuel going in, your body starts going, drying up, I'm not going to let you work anymore. And then as well, when you finish, you haven't relied on those stores, you haven't gone that deep, and then you can recover so much better.
And sometimes on a really long day, I think the week we were off for 6.5 hours, you're never going to be able to put enough calories in.
No, it's very hard. I mean, I know a lot of people work really hard at getting that high level of grams of carbohydrate in. It takes a lot of practice. I mean, I think you need to be being able to do it. You're doing a lot of running to have the time to practice that a gut absorption. Show willing, as my old triathlon coach used to say.
The Kinder Mint cake was my, like, literally 90 odd grams of carbs per 100 grams. It was amazing. But I think then also that, although I did eat that quite a lot during training, above going around stuff, but that destroyed my stomach.
All the practice in the world, and then you get to races, as you found out in the book, Graham, and you can all go to shop. But at least, you know, you can trial and error. And like, I know I'm never having that raspberry work for me again. Let's crack on with some huge race results. Shall I start with across the pond?
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
Camille Herron broke her own 100-mile world record, now racing as a 40-year-old. She's an ancient masters athlete. She ran 12 hours, 41 minutes, just over a minute better than her previous best. She also set a new record for 12 hours with 94.5 miles and split the 50-mile distance in 6 hours, 8 minutes. She also won the overall United States Championship event, beating all the men as well. She was described as going off like a rocket, like a 5K. She just looks like, when she runs as well, and I've seen footage of her, she always looks like she's running really fast too.
Yeah.
I've been a little bit like scathing sometimes of her, because she enters big races and like whether she finishes or not, it's like 50-50, isn't it? But she's not scared of that. I kind of admire that as well. She's like, my hamstring hurt, or it wasn't my day. You know, she's all in. She's all in a like, but she doesn't like go, oh, I just didn't fancy it. You know, she really protects herself. But she's there. She's not there to complete anything. She's there to win these.
When the stars align.
As she said, when the stars align.
If anybody knows Camille, then reach out to her. We looked up on the show.
And then Victoria Brown, 46, loving. I'm reading the ages because I think they're so inspirational. Broke the women's world record for running the most miles in 72 hours with 288.3 miles on a 2.2 mile paved course.
Oh, that just sounds
Maybe I need to contact her about what she ate for that.
Yeah.
2.2 miles. I mean, just every opportunity to stop. How the mental, hey, let's get her on the show. Stuff Camille. Awesome. Let's get Victoria. The mental strength to keep going around. Point to point, I can see that. But going around, like... Oof.
I did a race once where it was a figure of 8. I think it was the Welsh Trail Marathon, where you could stop at halfway and do the half marathon and still get a medal for that. I wonder on these races where you have that opportunity to maybe drop. In Dinkarnas's book, he had the opportunity to drop down and do the shorter distance. How many people bail out and just to keep going on a 2.2 mile paved course? My goodness, just to keep on getting out there for another lap. That is amazing. Well done, Victoria. Yeah, back over to the lakes for the Loopy Latrig Fell race, and some wonderful photographs out there on Facebook by Stuart Wilson Photography, and Scout Adkin took the win for the ladies in 41 minutes and 19 seconds, and Tim Lamont for the guys 39 minutes and 1 second. It was an optional fancy dress, and there's some great fancy dresses out there on the fells. So yeah, some brilliant pictures. Well done, everybody. This week, we talked to Emma Roper, one of our community, busy mom, juggling life. And like all of us, she loves being out on the trails and fells. It was awesome to catch up with Emma. Eddie, I had a really good chat, and I bumped into Emma also on the Bob Graham Round dinner. So great to catch up with her again just the other week. Hope you enjoy it, everybody. This week, we've been super lucky to be joined by Emma Roper, BSc, PG, DIP, MSCP, HC, PC, 2021 Bob Graham Round, recent George Fisher Round, and now you are training for the Summer Spine Challenger race. Breathe again. How are you, Emma? Well, thanks for coming on the podcast. How are you? Where are you? And have you been for a run today?
Hi, Gary. Hi, Eddie. Thanks for asking me to come on. I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I've been for my run, Saturday, long run day. So I did that this morning. Nice and sunny here. So that was a nice one to get out. So yeah, I'm just at home now.
Whereabouts are you in the world, Emma?
I'm in Kent.
Oh, whereabouts? You don't have to tell us exactly your address.
Down near Sevenoaks.
Oh no, lovely part of the world. That's dead posh, Emma. I think you all are person to come on the podcast.
No, we're out in the countryside, so it's nice for running. So just lots of farmland.
It's nice and undulating there too, isn't it? You can sort of get an array of trail.
I was going to say it was really flat, but no, it's not.
No, there's hills, but nothing obviously like the lakes or, proper hills. But yes, undulating, runnable hills.
How far did you run today?
About 27, 28 kilometres this morning.
Nice.
Not just a little poodle. Nice smiles in the back. Before we sort of get into the bones of the podcast, can you share a little bit about yourself? Maybe all those letters that Gary just read out. I don't think that's his name. And your journey into ultra running so far.
Okay, yes, so far. Well, so all those letters after mine, that's all work. I'm a chartered physiotherapist, so that was what all the letters were.
You look so disappointed, Gary, reading them out. You were like, I did years and years of studying, an intense book, and you were reading those out like it's numbers on the back of an ice.
No, so that's all work. And my journey into ultra running, well, I've always run. I think even when I was a child, I did cross country at school, played hockey, did a lot with horses, and did a bit of running. And then probably when my children were small, so that's when I probably started doing more running, and I just gradually increased the distance. I think I remember after my third baby was born, I remember being quite pleased about managing a 10k, and that felt like quite an achievement.
Mm-hmm.
Got 3 girls, all quite close together. They're teenagers now, so this was going back a few years.
Yeah.
And I just sort of gradually did 10k, then I thought I'd try half marathon, thought I'd try marathon, what's next? And I just sort of kind of gradually did that. Didn't really do any races, didn't really do any competitions, just went out at the weekend, just because I enjoyed it, really, all on trails. I've never done any road running, I've never done any track sessions or anything like that. And my parents got a place up in Yorkshire, so that's when I first started fell running. And we used to do quite a lot of these walks when the girls were little, and it was quite a mission, really. I think it's about 13 kilometres is what we always used to do. And it used to take hours and hours. When they're really small, they just stop, they got something in their boot, and then they're hungry, and someone wants to stop and someone to run off. And you can kind of imagine. Anyway. And one day I thought, I wonder if I could run up here. So we were there with my parents, I think, one year, and so they looked after the girls. And I could, and then I loved it, and that was my first run, and that was Great Shanna Fell, which Eddie you will become familiar with. So I've been at Great Shanna Fell a lot of times in all seasons, and all around that area, around up to sort of Tan Hill. So that's where I first started fell running, and then sort of from there it's not that far into the lakes, of an hour's or so drive. So then we started doing lakes trips, and then started doing a bit of running there, and the Bob Graham seed was sown. And I hadn't really done that many races before that, I think. Sort of going back to 2017, that was when I first started doing some obstacle racing.
Yeah.
So it's easy, from trails. It was just a bit more fun than just running around in the mud, because you got to run around in the mud and swing off things as well. So that's what I did, and then so I did a few of those, and then I found a harder one to do. So I did that one, and I think I got round that one. I really had no idea what I was doing, but a lot of it was horrible weather. It was really cold, and there's a lot of water involved, so you get very, very cold and wet, and it takes it was a long race, so it was out for maybe 5 hours or something. I did quite well in that one, and I qualified for World Championships.
Wow. And
it was quite a new sport then, so people now doing these sort of events, they do put in a lot more training, but it was kind of lucky. And I suppose my trail running was quite strong, and I was sort of physically strong just from life and work and things in general, so I did all right. But I think it was more the sort of the sheer determination of not giving up, and I will complete it even if I am hypothermic or whatever. We'll get to the end.
What does an OCR race involve? Is it the same as like a Spartan race? Are they different?
Yeah, so Spartan, yeah, that is an obstacle race, OCR race. So there's lots of different ones.
Okay.
And they will have slightly different obstacles, and some are more trail running, and some are a bit more technical. So I quite like the ones that was a bit more running and not more natural obstacles.
And was the World Champs that was in Canada? Is that correct?
It was in Canada, yeah. And it was all quite random. I had one of these sort of moments of, you only live once, just go and do it, really. And I had a few things going on in my personal life, and some of my friends hadn't been very well, like really very, very not very well. And I just thought, well, you can't wait for, whatever, you've got an opportunity, just go and do it and see what happens. So I went, and it was amazing. And, I wasn't last, and I didn't injure myself. So it was all fine.
When you qualified for Canada, was it a mindful thing you were going to hopefully qualify for the World Champs, or was it a pure, like a really nice coincidence?
Yeah, no, I had absolutely no idea. And people at the end were said, "Oh, you've qualified." I was like, "Qualified for what?" I really had no idea. I just went into it doing. I'd entered the Ring of Steel Sky race that year, and I thought, doing a harder obstacle race when you're sort of testing yourself when you're cold and wet, and testing yourself a bit more than just jogging around the countryside. I thought that would be a good thing to do. So that's why I entered it. So it was kind of a bit random. None of it was really planned or anything. And so that's how I sort of, the two things combined, really. And at the time, Jonathan Alban was doing a lot of OCR, and now, amazing mountain runner, isn't he? So there was a bit of there is a good crossover, I think, between the two. So I did, so that was 2017. I think
they have the European Spartan Championships literally goes past my house every year.
Oh wow!
And every year I'm like, because I'm so scathing of them, mainly just because it's like a lot of men with like this headband on and like
more pants.
And I go, it doesn't look that hard. Like, come on. And then I ran up. The one here is epic. It's like the ultra is 50K with 3,000 meters plus like 60 obstacles. Wow. So when it was on last year, I ran up the mountain to like the highest point, and where you had to like transfer this like kettlebell across this ravine thing, and it was all packed away. I was ready for like the next day, so I was like, I'm gonna try this. I literally couldn't lift it up. I was like, oh my god, I take it back. Oh my god, it's epic. But I'd like to have a go. It's good fun. It looks amazing. It looks like, I think it doesn't look that hard, so it must be really hard.
You need a lot of upper body strength.
Yeah.
But do you still do, would that be something that you'd still currently do, enter OCR events?
No, I haven't done any. I had quite a bad injury.
Okay.
The following year, so 2018, I was doing a race and I fell off and I broke my back.
Oh wow!
How high did you fall?
It wasn't actually that high. It was maybe, I don't know, 6 foot or a bit more, but not massively high. But I just fell like flat on my back. It was on a rope traverse, and my hands. It was in the Beast from the East. It was really cold, and the ground was frozen.
Oh,
and my hands were frozen
properly, and
I just dropped like a stone, and
Did you know when you've done it, were you like, and being a physio, were you like, oh my goodness?
It was really painful, and I've fallen off horses a lot of times in my life as well. And when
the winded feeling, when that has bucked you off one time too many. But this is different, was it?
I did lie there, and I was like, oh, can I wiggle my toes? It was quite scary actually. But I didn't really realise. I didn't know at the time I'd broke my back. I just knew it was really, really painful. So I was taken to the sort of beginning of the race, where they had the medics and everything. And I was put on a backboard in the back of this Discovery or something, and bumped across this field in agony.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
It wasn't really any other way.
No. Yeah.
So and then the medic at the medic tent assessed and said, oh no, if you just bruised it. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I have had 3 children, and really I've not experienced anything this painful. I didn't really want to make a fuss, and it was my birthday as well. It was my 40th birthday.
Okay.
Stop it. The story gets worse. Did he just let you get up, did he?
No, I did. I got up, and then my friends who were doing the race as well, they finished, and we went home. Luckily, I wasn't driving anyway. So went home, had a shower, went to mum and dad's for dinner because they cooked my birthday dinner. And the girls were there with mum and dad, and they'd made a cake. And I was like, right, okay, we'll just, probably it's just bruised and it'll be fine. And then got there, and dad said, "Oh, are you okay?" I was like, "Well, I did fall off. I'll be all right." And he said, "Oh," he handed me a paracetamol and a glass of champagne.
Love your dad. Love it.
And, yeah, so we sort of had dinner, and it wasn't late because I had to bring the girls back and get them sorted. They were a bit younger at the time. And then the next morning, I sort of got up and did their breakfast, did the school run. And I was like, "Well, yeah, it really does not feel right." It wasn't that pain. It just felt really weird, like very unstable, and just really something was not right.
Yeah.
So then I thought, yeah, I'll just pop in and get it x-rayed and checked. So, and that was that. So it was not a very nice 3 months after that because they didn't operate. It was a stable fracture. So
okay.
Which bit did you break?
Right in the middle, T10 and 11.
Okay.
So
what was the recovery like from that?
all they said at the hospital was, well, basically don't do anything. I was like, I'm a single parent, I run a physio and Pilates business. How can I not do anything?
Yeah.
It was yeah. Mum and dad were great, and the girls were great, but it was really hard, and mentally not being able to run or literally do anything. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't do any jobs at home because I was not at work. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So I just did lots of walks and lying flat on my back for about 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then I had X-ray at the hospital, and then the doctor said, "Oh, yeah, it's healed. You can run again." So that was it. I went out. I was 10K. I was like, "Woohoo! I can run."
I love the physio in you. Straight back out, healed, broken back's healed. Let's smash out a 10K.
And how is it today? Is it still something you need to be mindful of? Is it painful?
It's not painful, but it does get stiff. So I do need to manage it. So, but that helped,
Pilates is brilliant for that, by the way.
Thanks, Eddie. But yeah, the Pilates, actually, I did it because I had to teach, because I'm self-employed. I had to carry on. So literally from the week after I did it, I wasn't doing it, but I was teaching. But I went back, and because I know what it felt like, and I kind of knew I would never get any of my patients to do that, but it just lying flat on my back, and I think it was very beneficial actually, and just sort of gradually building it up from quite early on, because I knew what I should do and what I should definitely not do.
Well, if you've got that connection with your body as well, it makes so much, Pilates makes life so much easier when you've got that deep connection. We'll get Gary onto Pilates one day. Can you tell us a little bit about 2020 and 2021, and perhaps your Bob Graham rounds? I believe, didn't you see each other on your Bob Graham rounds?
No, it was Charlie Parkinson.
Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie, yes. Mine was on the week after yours, Gary.
You were very close
similar,
together,
very close, yeah.
Sometime, it was very close, a week apart, I think. But yes, it was the same week as Charlie Parkinson, and I'd fast forwarding a bit, but I'd literally just made it round. I was like completely broken, really. Then somebody said, "Oh, is somebody else coming in? You've got to get down off the steps." I was like, "Oh my God."
Oh my God, I'd have had I'd be like, do you know?
This young lad who is Charlie, comes, they're sprinting in and flying up the steps. I'm like, how did you manage that? I'm like half dead here. But...
Yeah, he's like 15 though. He doesn't have kids. Certainly hasn't broken his back.
I was out on leg 4 yesterday, and when I was chatting with my friend Neil, and we were just talking about Beth Pascal and, Finley and Killian.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine how fast these guys, and Charlie too, how fast they're moving over some of that terrain. It's
Jasmine Harris in the spine. Just when you look at the times, like what she was doing, like this, it's inconceivable. Let's go back to maybe where the seed of the Bob Graham round, where you thought, I'm going to have a crack at this, and then maybe a little bit of what your training looked like and how the day unfolded.
Okay, so the seed. Well, I heard about the Bob Graham round, quite a few years before. I think when Nikki Spinks did her double round, and I remember thinking, well, that's amazing, but I'll never do anything remotely like that. Not even one lap. And then sort of the years went along, and I did a bit more running, and then I think it was 2020. Up in the lakes, and a friend said to me, I reckon you could do it. I was like, oh no, because I kind of thought maybe, I'd like the route. I thought I'll do it maybe every weekend and stop and be civilized about it and just take my time and enjoy it. And then my friend said, no, I think you can just crack on and just do it. I was like, oh, I don't know. But you never know until you try. So that was 2020. Obviously, everything else was off. And I'd had quite a frustrating few years because 2018 was the broken back. 2019, I had a bit of an issue with my heart. So anyway, that was all fixed. So I was all fixed and raring to go. Yeah. 2020, they're like, right, no, cancel everything.
Oh, no.
I was like, I need something. So I was like, okay, right, I'll have a crack at the Bob Graham round. So I gave myself the best part of a year, really, to prepare, especially living in Kent.
Yeah.
And in lockdowns, I couldn't get up and do many recce's. I think I went maybe twice to recce.
Before you did the round?
Yeah, so I think I went once in sort of the end of so it must have been October time of 2020 when we were allowed a little bit of freedom, and then April of 2021, and my round was in June. But I couldn't do anything else. So I was doing a lot of laps of Box Hill, which is our local biggest hill in part of the Surrey Hills. So
is it about 200 meters? Can you get a bit more? Is it 250 meters?
Yeah, a bit more. There's a route that's about 12k. So I would do 4 laps of that on a long run day, and then there's steps you can do repeats of up and down to get a bit more. That was most of my training, really. I didn't have a coach. I didn't do any sort of sessions or speed work or anything, because I hadn't been able to do any of that because of my heart rate issue from the year before. So I haven't really ever done any kind of speed sessions. The way I would just progress would be to go longer or put more hills in. So that's what I did. And I just about pulled it off. I had literally on my Bob Graham round 5 minutes to spare.
I'd plucked 22 hours out the year. And that seemed to, with the recce's that we did, I thought, that seems fine. Was yours literally a 23 and a half hour schedule or something like that? Or did you have that? Was that mindful?
I think it was 23 and a half hour schedule. And I didn't know if I was going to get round in time. I thought I would probably get round, but I didn't know if I would do it in 24 hours, but I was going to carry on anyway. I think some people, if they look like they're not going to make it, they bail out to sort of save their legs or whatever for another attempt. But I just wanted to get round, and if it took me 27 hours, then I was going to keep going if I could. So that's what I did. So I gave myself sort of longest time possible.
You certainly did.
Just about made it.
Excellent. How did the sort of the day pan out? Was it what you sort of expected? Was it harder than you expected?
So I started at 6 in the evening, which is normally I'm a morning running person, and normally I start to sort of wind down by the end of the day. I'm like, it's really not a good time to start. But I knew that leg 2 was better in the dark, so because that's the least technical bit. So I thought, well, that seems to be the thing to do. So I'll do that. So it's all good. So it's hard waiting all day for a start time. I don't know if you've found that as well. Rather than get up, have your breakfast and off you go. Normally on a race, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we were 10 o'clock or something, 10:30. So it was a long wait. Yeah.
Half 10 at night, like a long way.
But a similar thing. We wanted the navigation for us on leg 1 was fine, so that should be dark, and leg 2 was fine too. So we could have had a chunk. We had a chunk of that in the dark. But I think that's what people do. They play to their strengths, and where it's going to be dark on their round, that's determines on their start time.
And when you're a bit fresher as well, I don't think I'd want to be doing the back end of leg 4 in the dark, in the state that I was in by the back end of leg 4. So, but no, so yeah, it went fine. Leg 1 was good. I've been told don't go off too fast. Everyone goes off too fast. So I thought no, I won't go too fast. Went too fast.
Well, I was going to ask that. Yeah,
got
that's
very
classic.
overexcited. So I was about half an hour up on my schedule.
Oh wow!
At the end of leg 1.
Oh my goodness, half an hour.
I think, yeah. So
Everybody does it. It's classic.
I think because you just like really well, you're ready for it, aren't you? And you're tapered and you're excited. And
well, you're not carrying a backpack either. Usually, everybody else has got your kit, so you feel like, wow, I can actually move quite quick. And leg 1 historically is quite fast for people. Yeah,
and the weather had been really dry, so it wasn't too boggy or anything. So we were very lucky with the weather. I had an amazing team to help with the nav and carrying stuff and feeding me and force feeding me and holding my hand when I fell over.
So how did you do that? Because obviously if you only went there a couple of recce's and you're not from the area, how did you get a team together of people you were confident knew the route? Did they come up from Kent too, or were they local, a lot of them?
Some came up from Kent, yeah, and some were local. A couple of friends who I knew from OCR actually had moved to the lakes, so they were local and then knew others, and so it was sort of friends of friends, really, and I managed to get an amazing team of people, and I just find the whole thing about the Bob Graham is it's such an amazing community, isn't it? It's people that you've never met before, like turn up in the middle of the night on a Saturday night and run around the hills with some woman from Kent who's
and somebody gets
I've never met before, and they're all so lovely and helpful. And
it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, some car park somewhere, someone you may have met once before, or maybe never met before, and they are literally going to spend hours with you, helping you and guiding you through the fells. It was awesome, yeah. Yeah, no, it's really nice, and it's been hard for me to sort of put back that help, really, living here and with the lockdowns and things. I'd really like to be able to help. I have helped on a couple, the friends who helped me. I've helped on their attempts. But yeah, I'd like, if I'm up in the lakes and somebody's doing one, then happy to help out and sort of repay the yeah, definitely. Repay for the help. Yes. And was there a point where you were maybe behind schedule and you pulled it back, your bob, or were you always, I suppose, slightly under? I did, yes. So I did. So I was up leg 1. I was up half an hour, and I kept that half an hour over leg 2. I lost it a bit on leg 3, so I was back to where I was supposed to be at my schedule when I got into Wasdale. I knew I was going to be a bit slow on leg 3 because I just rubbish all that rocks. There's not that, you can't train in Kent for that, really. So I knew I would be a bit slower there. So that's fine. And then leg 4, I think I sort of kept it up to about steeple, and then it all went horribly wrong, and I couldn't eat, and I hadn't eaten enough, and I was being sick, and I just couldn't keep anything down. I was sort of running along, I had like one Haribo stuck in the side of my mouth about half an hour, and they were like, "Have you eaten it yet?" No, it's still there. I can't eat it. So I slowed down a lot on leg 4, and then I did struggle to it. And then there's this amazing woman. I think there was the Ennerdale fell race on at the same time. Oh, and there's a lady marshalling somewhere around about Brandreth or somewhere, I think. And she had this bag of oranges, and that was the only thing I think. She goes, "Oh, would you like some more?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I think that one might go down." I think that was saved me a bit, because then I could start eating a bit more. My friends were helping, like got the baby food and started shoving that in me, and that was the only thing I could keep down, I think, baby food and Coke. But I had to. I didn't stop at Honister. There was no tire, and they said, "Right, if you're going to do it, you've got to keep going." And they were really good at keeping me on pace. And I've never tried so hard on running in my whole life. I was so tired, and I just had no energy in the tank at all. And I remember looking at my watch and going, I've still got 8 more mountains to climb. It's like coming up to Great Gable. I was thinking, oh God, this is really, really hard. And then I thought, all those people had given up all their time, and my parents had come up. My middle daughter, had come up. She'd been allowed a day off school to come, and she supported
that last bit of leg 5, and I thought, I can't let all these people down. So I was like, right, dig deep and get on with it. So I did. But the team, they were amazing, really, and it was very, very touch and go whether I was going to make it. And when you come into Keswick, there's a little roundabout, and they stopped all the traffic and everything, so I didn't have to stop and wait. So it was literally that tight on time.
What an experience, though.
Yeah, it was.
It's really emotional.
Like 21, 22 hours. Much more exciting to push it to the absolute limit. Make the most of being out there, your free time.
Get my money's worth out of it.
Yeah, get your money's worth.
I wanted no dramas for my Bob. It sounds like you got all my dramas too. Yeah, I can't imagine what it was like the last, say, 5 miles, which you, in theory, can move quite quick, but you must have been like looking at the clock every second. That must have been so stressful.
Well, I didn't know. I think I was really incapable of anything. I was literally just like one foot in front of the other, and I wasn't really looking at anything. And they hadn't told me how tight it was. One of my paces, like, right, just keep up with me. If you will make it, keep on my shoulder, or keep going, and then you'll do it. I was like, I thought all I had to do was keep up with him. And I did, and it was amazing because at that point my daughter joined in as well, so she ran that last bit in with me, and that was nice.
That sounds amazing. And do you think you'd ever go back and maybe do it in the winter or an anti-clockwise round? I don't think I do an anti-clockwise round. I like winter running. I just did the tea round a couple of weeks ago, although it was. That's right. Yeah. It wasn't nice winter weather. It was horrible winter weather. So I'm not sure whether I wanted to stay out and do a whole Bob Graham in that, really. But I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe a different thing. And which way did you go up Scarfell? Did you do Lord's Rake and West Wall Traverse, or? Yes, we did do that, and I hadn't ever done that before. Oh, so I was a bit scared. I did have a slight moment at the bottom and go, oh, I don't know if I could do this. So I had a little cry for a minute, and I was like, right, no, get on with it. Sometimes we ask people any lessons that you could learn, but it's not really a lesson that you could learn, but maybe, if you could, is there anything you maybe would do different for future challenges? I know you've got the Spine Challenger coming up. Definitely eat more and earlier. Yeah. That was. Do you have a nutrition plan, or were you sort of like just go by feel, or? Yeah. Well, I had lots of different things, different sort of food to eat. I don't do very well on gels and that kind of thing, so I had real food, but I just couldn't really eat any of it after about the beginning of leg 3. So I had, so most of half of leg 3 and all the rest, I really barely ate anything. Is that something you've struggled with in the past, though? Nutrition over long periods of time? Yeah, I'm not good at eating and running, really. Yeah. It's great for ultra running, isn't it? Yeah, we need to work on this, Emma. It is quite common. I think it's quite common. I think people also don't realise how hard it is. So they sort of see and they hear about ultra running is just a big picnic. And they're like, it takes a lot of work to train that gut to be able to take in that fuel. And then you have to go through a lot of feeling sick and not wanting to eat and forcing it down. It's not fun. I have not. So I can't eat. I'm like, you can't not eat. So you're just going to have to put it in, and you might be sick, but then you'll have a clear palate and go again. And you've got to, it's not really, there's no, you see all these nutrition adverts, don't you? And people jogging with their gels and through the mountains, and you're it's just not reality, is it? No. So my friend who did it a month or so after me is great at eating, and he was eating all sorts all the way around and did a great time, baguettes and bath buns and sausage rolls, and it's like Gary would have been there. Gary, you should have supported that one. I usually excel at eating, and I was eating cheese sandwiches yesterday, running around on leg 4, but on the day all I could stomach was bloody Kendall mint cake. It was really disappointing. I think nerves play a big part in the eating too. I think the stress and the nerves and the hormones play a big part of food, taste, absorption, and everything as well. Emma, you've told us you've got 3 kids. They're a bit older than mine, but how do you fit in everything with your job and with training and with kids? How do you manage to juggle it, or do you sort of write a plan, or do you just sort of wing it day by day?
Well, I was winging it really, especially when they were younger. I couldn't leave them by themselves. They're teenagers now, so I can go out for a run and they're fine. But when they were younger, it was very much, oh, well, someone's got a club, I'll do 45 minutes while they're at gymnastics or netball or whatever it was, and then do most of my running at the weekend when they were with their dad. So I did sort of have I knew I had the weekend a bit more free to do some running, but I could, during the week was very much ad hoc. But now they're a bit older, and I can go and do my run when they go off and get the bus, so I can do run early or when they're, whenever really. So I just have to fit it around work. So that's definitely a bit easier. And I do have a program now. I just started with a coach in the last couple of months because of the spine challenger. Thought that is definitely a challenge for me. Some people do all these like crazy things, but 100 miles from me, I've not done it before, and the bob nearly broke me. And I thought, well, maybe I need to actually do some proper structured training. And I've got now the time where I could do that. I just couldn't have done that before. So so I'm focusing it a bit more now, which has been good.
Do you think you'll do anything, all these lovely hilly races, but do you think you'll do anything specific? Or has the coach alluded to how your training is going to change for the future, for the Spine Challenger?
It's more runnable, the Pennine Way, because Bob Graham was hiking up the steep climbs, isn't it? And a lot of scrambling, and you have to move quite slowly. Well, I do anyway, over the rocky bits. But the Pennine Way is a lot of some grassy bits and farmland, and there's slabs, and so it is a lot more runnable. And I also have to carry a lot more weight in my pack, because obviously with the Bob Graham, you've got your lovely friends that carry it all for you, but on the Challenger you have to carry everything yourself, which gets quite heavy with the extensive kit list that there is. So I'll be practicing carrying a bit more weight on my runs as well. Yeah, definitely. And doing the sessions, doing a bit more sort of threshold sessions and intervals and that kind of thing, to work on the cardio.
400s and 200s for the Spine Challenger. She went off like a rocket. She led that race for 200, then she took 2 minutes rest, and then she did a 400, and then.
But that's been good to increase my aerobic capacity, actually, because I've never done that sort of training before. So it's been different and interesting, and it has helped, I think, keep me going a bit quicker for longer.
We're all busy people, my goodness me, but do you have any tips in particular for busy people out there trying to spin plates, fight fires and train and be parents and work?
Well, I don't know. It is hard fitting it all in, and I try and have a loose plan, but I suppose to be adaptable. If something happens and you can't do your run when you were supposed to, but I'm lucky with my work because I'm self-employed. So if I get a cancellation, then that means I've got a spare hour. So
kick the door down.
Right, okay, I'm
Get
off.
out.
Quick hour's run, and so it works both ways. But I suppose being adaptable is.
So apart from the Spine Challenger this year, have you got any other races planned, or is it all the focus on that one?
The main focus is on that one, but before that, I'm doing the Yorkshire Three Peaks fell race.
Lovely, love it.
Been trying to do it for years, but it's really hard because you have to do qualifying fell races, and when you live in Kent, it's not very easy just to pop up on a Wednesday evening for a fell race, whenever they are. And then finally got in, then it was COVID, and then that was deferred a few times, and then it was the race. They had the race last October, then I had COVID and I couldn't go.
Oh my goodness.
So hopefully I'll manage to get there and do it this time. So that's April, and then the Challenger, and then I've just entered the Ben Nevis Ultra.
Wow,
in September. So I've done the ring. It's the same weekend as the Ring of Steel Sky Race, but it's the harder one. So I've done the Ring of Steel 3 times now. So I thought, right, I should really.
And do you summit Ben Nevis?
Yes.
Oh wow, that sounds amazing. I'd love to do that.
It's quite technical because you go. I think you come up along the ridge at the back, and then you go down the tourist path.
Yeah.
Oh, better that way though. Better that way.
Yes.
Yeah. And outside of running, any interests?
There's not much time really after all that, but yeah, I mean, horse riding has always been a thing I've done.
You still ride now?
I do a bit. My mum's got a horse, and they live just up the lane. So sometimes I just go out for a ride with my daughter. but I don't compete or anything now. I still enjoy it. Just sort of, when there's
How's the hamstrings? Because I did loads of riding when I was younger, and I'm like, I'm not sure. I used to just felt like jump on and off my pony. I'm not sure I could get on my hamstring.
Yeah, they are. Yes, it does give you tight hamstrings, doesn't it? Riding.
Yeah. I think I'd have the worst DOMs if I got back on a horse again. It's definitely in my future when I'm an old lady though. My knees have gone. I can't ski and I can't run, but I just sit on an old racehorse.
You have to get a mountain block to get up there, Eddie.
Oh, I'd have to get my dad to like build something that was like the height of the horses. Right, you've got a free weekend, a tank full of petrol. You're going away from Sevenoaks. Where are you going?
I'm going up to the Yorkshire Dales.
Of course you are.
My favourite place.
And you don't need to stop. You got the tank is full. Maybe just stop for some nice snacks.
Yeah.
Selected. You don't need to go to service station. You can go to a nice cafe.
Yeah.
Definitely Yorkshire. That will be the place to go.
Last one from me, Emma. Thanks for your time today. I'm just curious if you had any like positive self-talk or a mantra when the chips are down in a big race.
Hour 23 and 39 minutes. Bob Graham, what was going on in your head?
I think it comes back to that broken back, and I'm just so grateful that I can run. And if I'd have landed slightly, differently or whatever, I might not have been able to, So I just think, even if it's hurting, and even if I really want to stop, I think, well, I should be grateful of every step I can take, really. So it's a lot of that, and also not letting people down.
Yeah, I always think that's good to put your goal outside, not make it about yourself. But I'm always like, I can't go back and tell the kids I didn't do it. I didn't finish. They would be. And my new thing is like, I try to be grateful and go, you chose to do this.
Yeah.
Be grateful for doing this. I just did the half-term shop in Carrefour with 1 million tourists that have just arrived into the resort, and I was like, oh my god, this is awful. And I was like, you get to live here. You can fill your trolley with food. Be grateful for the money in your purse. I'm like slamming my trolley into. Oh, can't find the hummus.
The rage, the Eddie.
Quite a lot of rage. Sorry, Emma.
And we met at the Bob Graham round dinner, and that was really nice to have a little chat with you there.
And Emma's also a prize winner of a Chia Charge music entry when you had to vote it, and it's one of my favourite songs, and I listen to it. When you press your repeat on Spotify, and I can't play because it's got some swearing in with the kids. But I love it, and I love that whole album. And it's called, I wanted to say, because I want people to, it's called Passenger 27, isn't it?
That's it. That's the song. Yeah.
The lyrics so good. And you said you'd listen to it like on repeat when you were running up and down training.
Going round and round Box Hill. For my
I always think of you when it comes on. I'm like, come on.
I'm glad you like that. And my children, though, being teenagers, obviously, I'm very uncool being a mother, and I have terrible taste in music. So they all thought it was hilarious that I've been picked as a winner on a music thing, and they all.
Wait till they hear you on the podcast. Make sure you got it playing in the car.
Yeah.
Just go, it's something I recorded. No.
Well, thanks for your time today, Emma. Saturday afternoon, so appreciate it. It's really tough to squeeze it in. I've had a blast as always. It's been brilliant catching up with you. Thanks so much.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Should we do the quick five?
I was going to say, come on, Gary, it's your best bit. Can you hear the carnage going on behind me? There's a table tennis match going on outside. You can't.
No.
I can't hear it. No.
Can't hear it. No. All I can hear is the ball, and then the
Okay, right. Quick five. Bastard run or full English first?
Bastard, I think it'd have to be.
That's it.
Well, it's a whole long day. I probably would have to force down a full English if it was a long day out, but yeah.
Favourite running shoes?
I do like the La Sportiva Mutants. I did the whole Bob Graham round in them.
Did you?
And it was very
Are those
dry.
the ones with the clicky?
No.
Oh no, that's the.
No, that's a different. What are they? No, but not those ones.
Or something dinosaur-y. The mutants are really good, but they're not super cushioned.
Well, I found that they just suited me, and I think if it was very muddy, maybe not. But it was, yeah.
Are they going to be your challenger shoe of choice?
They might well be. I think. I don't know. I also like the Scott Ultra.
I'm a Scott Ultra girl, but on wet rock they are useless.
Yeah.
So I'm stuck because I'm like, what do the Scott Ultra Track are so comfy, but wet rock slabs on the Pennine Way.
Yeah, there's a lot of slabs.
I might sandpaper the bottom a bit to make it a bit rougher.
She would have had Scots, wouldn't she?
Yeah, she wore Scots. Yeah. So enough for Debs.
I know John Kelly and Sabrina Vigi, I'm pretty sure they're Ala Sportiva. So
yes, I think so. Yeah,
you've got a good combo going on there. Good combo.
Field. Wild camp or a spa break?
Well, I've never done a wild camp, so that's something I would like to have a go at actually.
I'd love to do that.
Go to the spa though, Emma. You can just we'll give you a little treat.
I love wild camp.
Yeah, maybe after the Challenger, I'll quite like a spa break.
I saw them actually on the way to Honister Pass yesterday. There's a really fancy hotel that you drive past, and I could see them in this like massive hot tub outside overlooking Ullswater.
Mm-hmm.
It just Derwentwater, sorry. It looked fantastic. I thought I could have a slice.
You'd be bored in half an hour, Gary. You'd be like...
Well, Neil, I said this, and Neil was like, "Yeah, but you could do all your hill running, do all this and that, and then enjoy."
Yeah, the only way you could do it would be when you've done a massive run, and then you put one of those dressing gowns on, and then just basically go to sleep. It would be a really expensive sleep.
Be a good post run. Yeah, I think otherwise, if you just went for a weekend without having done any running, I think.
Yeah.
Some people have no interest in going up the hills. They just like the views, don't they?
I thought you were going to say some people have no interest in running. You know.
I know. Sweet or savoury?
Probably sweet. I'd go for.
What's your favourite dessert?
Biscuit with my cup of tea.
Have you got a favourite dessert?
Sticky toffee pudding.
Probably. Oh, classic. Yes, right answer. Spine Challenger. Roll the dice. It's going to be strong wind or heavy rain. What would you prefer?
I think persistent heavy rain is the worst, isn't it? You just get cold and wet. If it's dry and windy, I think I can cope with that. But
especially in the summer, it's not.
You never know on the Pennine Way, Eddie.
You never know on the Pennine Way. I think probably heavy rain, there's going to be strong wind. You can just have both.
Yeah, I think so.
You're going to a spa afterwards anyway, so you'll be fine.
Yeah.
How early did you start checking the weather forecast? Was it 2 weeks out, do you reckon?
Oh, it changes so much, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're
2 weeks out, I reckon they can tell. A week out, 2 days before.
Well, Russell had intel. He had a friend who knew all about the weather. And
Russell and his friend. Who was this friend? This guy down the spa, he said, I've got some intel on the weather.
It's probably John Kelly or Damien Hall setting him up.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Emma. Good luck with the training.
Yeah,
thank you. And you.
And thanks. And I'll see you as a Spine Challenger.
Yes, I'll see you. Yeah, see you on the start.
She'll be tripping you up, Emma. She's so competitive.
She'll be way ahead of me.
Not on the start line, obviously.
Tying your shoelaces together.
Good luck with everything this year, Emma.
Thank you, and you guys.
Thanks. Bye. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Emma, for coming on the show. She was quite nervous about being on the podcast.
Yeah.
And but one thing we like to stick true to our podcast is we like to interview people from all walks of life and achieving all sorts of different things in different myriads. It's not all about winning the races. Sometimes the hardest to earn medals are the ones that people don't see fitting in the training around life and everything else that throws at us. So thank you, Emma, so much for coming on the podcast. And I will see you at the Summer Spine Challenger.
I really enjoyed the obstacle course race, and I wasn't expecting that.
Wasn't she?
upcoming races. Now, this is a race that's been postponed, actually. So I thought I'd give it a shout out just in case somebody hasn't seen the social media and they are planning to go to the High Cup Nick Fell race. Don't travel. I just saw on social media yesterday that it has been postponed. I think it's
because of the weather.
Yeah, well, I think I think the course is probably okay. You know, it's a Winterfell race, but I think it's the logistics of car parks and things like that. Yeah, lots of things to contend with. I think we're on Storm F. So what is that, like the sixth? A, B, C, D, E, F. 6 storms in about 8 weeks. It is not great in various parts of the UK. I saw some pictures of Worcester and York. Yeah, a lot of waterlogged people down there.
Better to be safe. We've got the Winter Witchhaven Way.
Yep.
Runs the length of Worcestershire, covering 40 miles from town of Droitwich Spa to Broadway, following routes and canals. Imagine this is all the undulating meadows. I can imagine it's reasonably flat, maybe some lumps. Yeah. So significant climb up Breedon Hill with great views over the Vale of Evesham. I used to train a lot in that area back in my Cheltenham days. Used to ride my bike up to Evesham, up the A40, is it?
Yeah.
And pick up my coach who used to live in Evesham, and then we used to cycle all around. We must have gone up Breedon Hill, all around there, and happy memories. That sounds a good one. Good entry level, probably Ultra 2.
Yeah, GPS, and I wonder again with the canals and rivers, I wonder how that course is faring up.
I don't know that area, whether that area of the country was so hard hit with the storms, but give us a shout out if you do that race. Right, Gary, what got coming up? Are you going to get off this knee and start whining about it and do some work? Or?
I've been pretty good, actually. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to give it a test today. We're talking, I was talking to somebody earlier, off to the moors with Lisa to do a bit of filming and be a bit of a jog walk, so see how it reacts.
When I often have a sore achy knee, and I go to the physio and the chiropractor, and they're like, it just needs a rest, Eddie. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a bit, you overwork one bit of your body. Everybody's got one bit of their body that shouts when they slightly need just a bit of a rest. So hopefully, a bit of ice, Gary. Knees love a bit of ice.
Yeah, I'm not doing the ice yet. I'm just doing Brody's advice, find what you can tolerate. More time on the turbo. What I don't want to do is get to a point where it's quite safe at the moment. There's nothing, I'm not really training for anything, but I don't want to then push it too far and I miss Lakeland 100 training.
I'm mocking you, but I think I'm only admiring your sensibility, because of me, I would carry on until literally the limb was hanging off, and then I'd be like,
we're all runners and nothing really substitute those miles. But I've entered a race, which is good. I did this at Cuthbert's Way. Did I tell you I got the podium?
Oh, yeah. Did I tell you about it?
They also have the 45-mile event. And it's the same people who did the Kiel the Dark Skies event. So I had this credit. And because I did all 3 events, I did like 40-something miles of events. So I asked them if I could roll all of those into this 45-miler, which I think is at the beginning of July, which will be a last long run before Lakeland 100. So I would have loved to have done the 100K, but I think 66 mile would be too much. So the 45-mile, I think, will be perfect for it. That is going to be on the plan for July. So awesome. But yeah, yourself.
As I said, I've got another long run or long session to do. I mean, I'm an absolute volume junkie, Gary. When I see that on my plan, I'm like, oh my God, I love it. I love long sessions, minimal effort, maximum time. That I'm such a, and I really like hard sessions as well, but I also just love pack on, out you go. No, I couldn't care less about the pace or the miles. Just off we go.
Yeah.
Maybe. So yeah, but I'm going to start building that, because I've got 100K at the beginning of April. Whoo!
That will be on us fast.
It will be on us fast. So I would probably not really want to be running as much as I am now, stay on the skis, but I am So I probably put a bit more running in, but next week I'll do a bit more back on the skis once it's safe to get out, because we still got thousands and thousands of people just two miles down the road wanting to kill us with their skis. So next week I'll be back on ski, a bit more ski chat than running chat, and carry on with, I've got my spine maps. Honestly, Gary, I had a quick look at the south. It looks, I mean, there's a lovely picture there. Lovely wide path running along by the canal. It's a beautiful day. I don't know what everyone's making all the fuss about. And it says it's a good week's walking on this map. Oh, perfect. Lord. Perfect. Smash that one up. So I'm going to start looking at my maps. I love a bit of map study. I mean, I'm no orienteer, though. But these national trail maps are quite nice because they sort of make it look very easy compared to an ordnance.
They're a bit waxy. They're the waterproof ones, I think. Yeah,
they're a bit more waxy, and I think they just make it look that much. It's almost like when you get books that are a bit of bigger print.
Like big print.
I'm going to start studying my maps. Just keep working away, Gary. And I'm also going to try and get a massage because my body's starting to feel the winter miles. And I keep saying, I've got to get a massage. So come on, Eddie. Do it. Sort yourself out.
Competition time. We are running a competition. And we're hopefully going to pick the winner on the 1st of March, but we're just needing the actual statistics from our sponsor. But basically, can you guess how many chia seeds are in a classic 30-gram bar of the Chia Charge flapjack? I'm happy to count the seeds, but I've got
about 6 in my teeth right now, so definitely more than 6.
I think I need to work out percentages, then weigh that, and then basically count all those ingredients.
Shush, you're giving stop it. You've got to smash the bar up on a plate and count.
Oh yes, that's it. Yeah.
I want proof of the counting.
So we had planned to kind of reveal our winner on the 1st of March, but I suppose it might be the following week, depending on...
I don't think people are that bothered, Gary, let's face it. We'll just keep this one running until we're ready.
Two winners, though, people.
Pop over to Facebook. I'm popping the post up now. And have a go, have a count. I'll put a picture of the 30-gram bar too. Might just be the wrapper. I have to rummage around my snack box to see if I've got any left.
Is there mice, any mice chat?
Gary, it's learnt to open the cupboard. It's now we've got claw marks going up under the cupboard.
They're so clever, aren't they?
They are. I mean, they're going to take over the world, aren't they? Now get up. I mean, so I shut the cupboard. I put all the locks across. It's got like this bottom lock. I mean, I don't think a child could open the cupboard. I went up to bed, and then one of the kids woke up in the night, so I came downstairs. And the cupboard was open.
Oh my goodness me.
I mean, this mouse.
You need to film it.
This mouse as well. It's now, but I haven't seen what it's been snacking on recently. So it's going to be something that I don't eat much. And then I'm then going to go, do you know what I really fancy? I'm going to pull it out. It had tried to get in the corner of my chocolate fingers, but it hadn't made inroads. But I haven't seen it. I've just been following it around the house.
So I've got 2 things that made me wince with pain this week. You might be able to guess one.
A Norwegian skier in the Olympics.
He's finished. That? Was he finished? The frozen penis? Yeah, that was the one.
Did you see that on the podcast?
And then there was Steve's.
You had
Steve Berkeley show. Pardon?
Oh, you winced. You didn't actually suffer from said.
No. I did have
appendage.
I had a numb penis after an hour on the turbo, which wasn't great.
So overshare.
This isn't going in. But should
I said to Bryn, like when my thumbs get my Raynaud's in my thumbs, when you come back inside and the pain of can you? I can't imagine what that must be like down below. The pain must have been. Did you read he had to put like a hot pack and let it come back to life? He didn't have any underwear on, did he?
No.
He must have had nothing. He must have had no insulation because I've been out running in, and so is Britain, in some very cold temperatures. but good stout pair of undercrackers, and you're all right.
Yeah, I must admit, my fingers suffer, and I've had kind of frozen eyebrows and stuff, but never my bits and bobs.
It's enormous, Gary.
Yeah, can dream on. And the other one was Steve slashing his contact lens when I was.
Yeah, what happened then? We didn't get
He had to carry on until the next checkpoint, didn't he?
Yeah. Anyway, Gary, enough about frozen appendages. Hope nobody else suffers such a trauma this week. Anything else you need to tell me?
We have another 5-star review, Eddie.
It's outrageous. I can't keep up with it.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Paul Smith. I know a few Paul Smiths, so I wonder if it is...
Everybody knows a few Paul Smiths, don't they?
Well, one of them is the run streaker, I think he's second in the world for run streaking, so I'm not too sure if it's this guy, but...
let's hope it is.
Thank you very much, Paul. Inspired and muddy. Love the podcast. Smiley face emoji. Just the right mix of chat, insight, and varied guests. However my life is going, your updates lift me and push me out for the long runs in the hills. With all the talk of the spine, I took the advantage of a long weekend in Teesdale to run a section of the route. The weather was interesting. Kind of confused face emoji. Thank you both. Paul. Well, thank you, Paul. That is awesome. I really love reading
these. Thank you, Gary, for also describing the emojis for us.
Yes. It's a visual and audio. That was episode 78. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Paul, for the 5-star review. And thanks again to Chia Charge for sponsoring the show. My name's Gary Thwaites.
I'm Eddie Sutton.
And let's run to the hills.